The time is almost here. The release of Horizon Zero Dawn is right around the corner. I'm Andrew the New Guy, and today in gameranx we're here to talk about 10 things that you need to know about Horizon Zero Dawn. And up first, number 10, we have the setting. About 50 years from our present time, Cataclysm hits. What exactly happens, we don't know yet. Hopefully by the end of the game we get to find out, but Horizon takes place 1,000 years after that. Whatever happened, humanity reverted back to the hunter-gatherer way of living off the land and such. And for some reason that we don't know of yet, the land is populated by giant mechanical beasts that resemble dinosaurs. So I guess it's safe to think that maybe Skynet finally took over, and our technology somehow turned on us. But why these giant dinosaur-looking mechanical creatures? We also don't know exactly where the game takes place geographically, but Guerilla Games managing director Herman Hulst did confirm that there will be some real-world references, but he couldn't tell us exactly what. But how cool would it be to see like a rundown Hollywood sign or maybe a crazy overgrown Manhattan? I know these are on two different coasts, but I think you get what I mean. The mystery surrounding the game's setting is probably one of the things that has me the most interested and curious about this game, and I really want to know where it takes place and what happened that destroyed modern civilization and turned us back into cavemen. And up next, number 9, we have Aloy. So in Horizon, you play as Aloy, and yes, that is how you pronounce her name, not Alloy. Anyway, you play as Aloy, a member of the Nora tribe, but she is cast out of the tribe for not having a mother. She never knew her parents, and she was raised by another outcast named Rost. And the two live in the wilderness and aren't allowed within certain areas of the tribal grounds. At the beginning of the game, Aloy is coming of age, and she's fed up with not knowing who her parents are and what reasons that she was deemed an outcast of the tribe. So she decided to take part in the rite of passage called the Proving, and completing this passage means she will no longer be an outcast, and it gives her a chance to get some answers from the leaders of the tribe about her past. And while the rest of her tribe doesn't fully understand technology and how to use it, Aloy does. She drives herself to study and learn about it as much as she can. She's actually the first one to learn how to override the beasts and tame them. And seeing that she grew up in the wilderness, she grew up learning how to craft, scavenge, hunt, and defend herself, and all of those are going to tie into the gameplay. Aloy is shaping up to be a very interesting character, and I'm really excited to learn her story and welcome her to the PlayStation roster. And up next, number 8, is the game's engine. Horizon is going to be the debut of Guerrilla's new Decima Engine. Now, if you've seen gameplay footage of Horizon, and I'm sure most of you have, you can't deny how pretty this game looks. Guerrilla's managing editor, Herman Hulst, had this to say about the Decima Engine. It's a lot more than just a rendering engine. It involves AI, physics, logics. It's got the entire world creation tool screen in it. And I'd argue that the engine probably is a statement of philosophy of game development as well. So he seems to be hyped about it and have a lot of faith in it, but then again, it is kind of his job to feel that way about it. But what's really interesting about the Decima Engine is that our Lord and Savior Hideo Kojima has built a partnership with Guerrilla Games and will be using that engine for his upcoming game, Death Stranding. And the reason I bring this up is that if Hideo is choosing to use this engine for his next game, then it really has to be something impressive. I mean, look at the Fox engine that was used for Phantom Pain. That was an amazing engine. Almost everything about that game from a gameplay perspective, definitely not a narrative perspective, is almost perfect. And most of that has to do with the Fox engine. And it's a shame that he couldn't take that tech with him when he left Konami. If Hideo is impressed with this engine, and impressed so much with it that he's going to use it for Death Stranding, then there's got to be something really special about the Decima Engine. And up next, number 7, is how the game will run on PS4 Pro. Horizon is going to be taking advantage of the PS4 Pro on both 4K and 1080p displays. Guerrilla will be using super sampling to make the game look better on 1080p displays. It's an anti-aliasing technique where they internally render the game at a resolution that is close to 4K before actually scaling it down to 1080p. And by doing this, some of the detail of that higher resolution survives the scale down, giving you a more stable image, less jaggy lines, and just a better looking game overall. And for 4K TVs, the game will be rendered at 2160p checkerboard. And if you want a good explanation of that, I think only Mark Cerny can do that justice, so go find him talking about it. It's actually a really cool technology. The game will also support HDR if your TV is capable, and HDR really heightens your color range, giving you deeper and brighter colors. And for a game like this, playing it in HDR will most likely be stunning. So hopefully Horizon can really show what the PS4 Pro is capable of. Then up next, number 6, we have the skill tree. This wouldn't be an action RPG without some sort of skill tree, and Horizons is broken down into 3 different skill trees, each one made for a specific playstyle. There's the Prowler tree that has stealth-based abilities, the Brave tree which focuses more on combat, and the Forager tree that focuses more on around gathering and hunting. You'll be able to unlock a ton of different abilities like slowing down time when you're aiming your bow, silent takedowns, luring enemies, silently sprinting, double shot, finding more resources, and upgradable pouches. It's a pretty straightforward skill tree that really lets you favor the kind of playstyle you want to go with. And up next, at number 5, you have hunting and crafting. Hunting and crafting play a huge role in Horizon. You'll be tracking down real and mechanical beasts to get resources that will allow you to craft new gear. The resources from real animals let you craft stuff like pouches, and resources from robot dinosaurs can be used to upgrade armor and weapons. And those resources are also a huge part of the economy. You can use those resources to trade with tribes throughout the map. There's also hunting lodges that can be found, which is pretty much like a hunter's guild, and each one has a representative that will give you access to different hunting challenges, and by completing those challenges you gain access to the lodge and you can start moving up in the ranks. Next up at number 4, we have other side activities. Along with what comes from the hunting and crafting element of Horizon, there are a ton of different side activities to take part in. There are corruption zones that are filled with hostile machines that are more powerful than enemies outside of the corruption zone, and completing these will make exploration a bit more safe, and you also get a good chunk of XP, and will also make objectives in the surrounding area a little easier. There are also several different tribes in Horizon, each one having their own religious beliefs and their own views on the world and the technology living in it. You'll be able to complete special tribal missions that will help you learn more and understand each tribe a little better, and there will also be random quests that you come across while exploring the wilderness. And completing these random quests will gain you XP or even weapon upgrades. Combining the hunting lodges, these side activities, and main missions, and cauldrons, which we'll get to in 1 second, definitely leaves us to believe that this game is going to give us a good amount of content and we'll probably be spending a lot of time with it. Up next, number 3, we have the different beasts. One thing that stands out about Horizon right away are the mechanical beasts that are roaming around. Now, there are human enemies as well, but we really don't know too much about those, but it's definitely the mechanical enemies that are really the most interesting. From what I could find, there are about 10 different types that we know of, and each one is different in its own way, and not just in the way they look, but also in the way they act. They each have their own form of communication, and each have a ton of different sounds and expressions that they'll make that will give you hints at their current state, like if they're scared, searching, or ready to attack. Probably one of the most recognizable of these beasts would be the tall necks, and those are the giant ones that you see in almost all the trailers and screenshots. And the way these guys work are pretty cool. They act as a kind of big mobile communications tower. You'll need to take out all the enemies around them, find a good vantage point that you can jump off of and jump onto the tall neck, and then you'll need to scale his neck to the top of his head, and you'll have to use your spear to override it. By overriding the tall neck, you'll learn more about the surrounding area, unlocking different waypoints on your screen to go explore. So it's basically like the towers from the Far Cry games, and in games like those, I've always loved going through the map and clearing all of them out, so I'm glad I get to do something like that in Horizon. And up next, number 2, we have cauldrons. So Horizon does have dungeons, and they are referred to as cauldrons. So far, it seems that there are only 5 that we know of, and cauldrons are actually where the mechanical beasts are made. They seem to be hidden throughout the open world and are pretty difficult to beat. Each cauldron will be made up of different puzzles and platforming sections, and will also be home to more powerful enemies. There isn't too much to go on currently about these cauldrons. We don't know what they are exactly, what's in them, why they're there, but it is speculated that there will be a boss battle at the end of each one, and that you'll be rewarded with good gear or abilities. So I guess you could say that this is a mix of the tombs from the newer Tomb Raider games and maybe Destiny's raids, and the tombs and the raids are some of the cooler stuff those two games really have to offer. So there's another thing you'll be able to do along the main quest and the side quests. And up next, number 1, there are some small things I think are definitely worth mentioning quick. The map of the game did leak a few days ago, and it does look fairly big. There's still no way to compare it to other games' size yet, but it's broken into 3 major regions: Mother's Heart, Meridian, and Sunfall. Another thing I found really interesting about this game is the lead writer. It's being written by John Gonzalez, who has worked on Fallout New Vegas, which in my personal opinion has the best story out of the Fallout series, and he's also worked on Shadow of Mordor. Horizon Zero Dawn releases February 28th, and if this game ends up being as good as it looks, it's going to be a very successful month for PlayStation. We have this game coming out at the end of the month, and early in the month, Neo released to crazy praise. But I want to hear from you guys. Meet me down in the comments, let me know if there are some things I forgot, and let me know if you're excited to play Horizon. I know I am. And hitting that like button really helps us out, and if you didn't know, we put up videos like this every single day, and the best way to get them is with a subscription. And once again, I'm Andrew the New Guy, and I'll see you guys next time right here on GameRanx.